Today we will start power and Poynting vector. Up to this point we have already discussed wave propagation in different type of medium. First we have seen lossy medium, then lossless dielectric, good conductors and free space. Now apart from this we should have idea about the power, how much power is contained by the wave, how it is propagating, and that can be defined in terms of Poynting vector, power carried by the EM wave. So coming to the first slide, we know that energy can be propagated by means of EM wave propagation. We have some initial value of electric and magnetic field, and that electric and magnetic field contains some energy in the form of electric and magnetic. Now this rate of change of energy is known as power. So unit of power is what? Joule per second. Unit of energy is joule. And this joule per second can also be seen as watt. Now one thing is your power density. So power density means power crossing the unit area. So the power density unit will be watt per meter square. Now how we can define the derivation of power with the help of these two equations. Where this curl of E is equal to minus dV by dt, and B is what? Mu h. So mu is as a constant independent of time. So making outside this differentiation, we can write curl of E is equal to minus mu dH by dt. And what is curl of H? So you know this is Jc plus Jd, conduction current density, plus displacement current density, where conduction current density is sigma into E and displacement current density given by dd divided by dt, where d is electric flux density. So d can be written as epsilon E, therefore epsilon can be make outside this differentiation, so epsilon dE by dt. Now if we take the dot product with E in equation, so what will be the, both side we are taking dot product with electric field in this equation. So see here, left hand side we have taken the dot product, and also right side we will take the dot product. So E dot E is what? E square, and E dot this term has been written here. All of you join on time. Actually continuously I am coming to this page and then allowing you all. Now see, we use this vector identity that divergence of A cross B can be written as, if we bring A to this side, so curl of A minus bringing A to this side, we will write this one. So this can be represented in this form. This is our vector expression from where we have written this, and now we can write, we can apply this one to the previous one. See, E dot curl of H, that is equal to sigma square plus E. So apply there. Okay. So after putting in this expression, how we can write this? E del cross H, E del cross H. Suppose this is A and this term is what? B. So what is there? This term A del cross B. So bringing it to this side and making this term to this side, how we can write? We can write A del cross B, that should be equal to B curl of A minus divergence of A cross B. So same thing we have applied here. Now instead of A, what we are taking? E. and instead of B we are taking H. So see, this expression can be written as B curl of A, so H curl of E minus divergence of A cross B, so E cross H. Now this should be equal to, see the right side term, what is sigma E squared? So we have written as it is sigma E squared. Now see this term, when you will differentiate this, okay, actually E was outside the differentiation sign, but when we are bringing it to the differentiation term, so E square should be there, so that when you will find this d to E square divided by dt, so it should be 2E into dE divided by dt, and at the time half is there, so once multiplying with half, 2 will be cancelled out, and you can get E epsilon dE by dt, same as this term. So only thing we have done that we are bringing this term to the right side of differentiation. Now this H curl of E, for which we have written this, can be, for the first equation, if you see, if we take H, okay, H dot product if we take here, so what we can write, H curl of E should be equal to minus mu H dH divided by dt, or when we bring it to the right side, we can write minus half mu d by dt H square. So same thing we have written here, that H curl of E, that should be equal to minus half mu d H square divided by dt. Now this equation 3 can be represented as this, just we have put the value of this H dot curl of E, and we got the expression of divergence of curl of EH, making to the one side and the remaining term to the another side. So see, this term has been involved here, that is minus d by dt, half minus d by dt mu H square. So after taking the common, half is, we can take common half, but d by dt if you are taking the common, what is this term? Half epsilon E square, and there half mu H square, and the another term is sigma E square. We are bringing it to the another side, that's why we have negative sign in this. Now this is very much important equation. If we take the volume integral of this both side, so applying a volume integral means dV, here also if we consider the volume integral dV, so this can be written as this equation. Now apply divergence theorem at this point. See, this volume integral can be converted into closed surface integral with the help of divergence theorem, and this divergence will be ignored. So E cross H ds should be equal to minus d by dt minus d by dt half epsilon E square plus half mu H square dV, and separately we have applied here also the volume integral sigma E square dV. What is this term? This actually represents the total power leaving the volume. If we take simply E cross H is what? Instantaneous power. And when we are taking the closed surface integral of this, so it represents the total power leaving the volume. This is what? Power density. And this negative sign shows the rate of decrease in energy stored in electric and magnetic field, because half epsilon E square or half mu H square, this represents the energy density. Energy density due to electric field and magnetic field. This term is due to electric field energy density, and this term is due to magnetic field the energy density. So half epsilon E square plus half epsilon, sorry, mu H square. When you take the volume integral, so after taking volume integral, this is energy. Now rate of change of that energy gives the power. So rate of decrease in energy stored in electric and magnetic field. Why decrease? Because negative sign is there. And this is also a type of loss. So by maintaining the dimension to the left and right hand side, we can say this term is what? Ohmic power dissipated. Dissipated by because negative sign is there. Now this equation 6, this represents the Poynting theorem. We can see in this diagram how power is coming out and what are the different three terms to the right hand side. So first term to the left hand side, that was our E cross H, and its volume closed surface integral ds, that is what? Power out, this term. And it has three term to the right side. The first term was minus d by dt, okay, and integral of half epsilon e square plus half mu h square, and there should be dv. So this is due to, this term is due to electric field, stored electrical energy, and this term is due to the stored magnetic energy. Due to magnetic energy, we have some energy stored, and electric field also we have some energy stored. And ohmic loss means what? The loss, heat loss we can say, or loss through any resistor, that is known as ohmic loss. And this is because of the conductivity and the dimension of our material. So this represents ohmic loss. So these three are the decrease or loss or dissipation inside the medium due to change in electric energy, change in magnetic energy, or ohmic loss, and this is final our power output. So this Poynting theorem gives the relation between output power and the change that occurs in any region due to these three parameters. Okay. Now this term is the net of this power out and power in. Okay, when we are giving some power, from where we are giving power in? So source of electromagnetic wave, source of electric field, source of magnetic field, that will generate power in terms of E naught and S naught. And finally when pass through a medium, so electric and magnetic behavior will show the type of dissipation and the ohmic characteristics of the medium or the material, that will give the ohmic loss. And finally we can conclude the output power. So Poynting theorem gives the relation between net power and the changes in the power inside the medium. Now from Poynting vector theorem, we define one Poynting vector, and that Poynting vector is defined as cross product of E and H, that is E cross H, which gives the instantaneous power density. See the term. This is what? Instantaneous power, but it is density. Density of power means what? Watt per meter square per unit area associated with the EM wave. And what is Poynting theorem? In language, same thing that we have expressed there. We can say the net power flowing through a given volume is equal to the rate of decrease in energy stored, either in electric form or magnetic form within that volume, minus ohmic loss. Now, what is the direction of AK? What is the direction of electric field and magnetic field? So there is a relation. Direction of Poynting vector is in the same direction in which wave propagates. And you already know the relation between wave propagation direction and the direction of electric and magnetic field. So AK should be equal to AE cross AH, where AK represents the direction of wave and AE is what? Direction of electric field, AH is what? Orientation of magnetic field. And this direction of Poynting vector, from here we can say it is normal to AE as well as AH. So AK is perpendicular to AE, which is also perpendicular to AH. These three are orthogonally perpendicular to each other, having 90-degree angle. Now, how we can define the Poynting vector? What is Poynting vector? P, instantaneous power density, that is E cross H. So how we can represent, how we can get the expression for this? Very easy. We know the expression of electric field. We know the expression of electric field given by E naught e to the power minus alpha z cos omega t minus beta z Ax. So electric field direction is what? Ax. Imaginary part of propagation constant is beta, real part of propagation constant is alpha. We have written the general term. E naught represents the initial value of electric field, and this represents the time harmonic nature of that field. Now H field, how we can represent? So you know that H naught should be equal to E naught divided by mode of intrinsic impedance and some angle theta n. Now here Hzt E naught divided by this term, and theta n, when comes to the numerator, it will appear with the negative sign in the phase of this function cos. So cos omega t minus beta z minus ay minus theta n. Ay is the what? Direction of magnetic field. Now how we can get P? E cross H. So take the cross product of these two. After taking cross product, this into this magnitude will be multiplied. So E naught squared divided by mode of n. These two will also multiply. So power will be added e to the power minus 2 alpha z. And see, when you will multiply these two terms, cos A into cos B, and further we can break into cos A plus B plus cos A minus B. Okay, so cos A plus B means add these two. So this term we will get cos 2 omega t minus 2 beta z minus theta n, and A minus B when we perform, so subtract this and this, so we get cos theta n. And what is the direction? So E cross H, so Ax cross Ay, and this gives Az. Therefore we have direction here Az. So this is Poynting vector expression. So what are the terms? See carefully, e to the power minus 2 alpha z, 1 cos theta n is there, and this term is present. This is what? This is our instantaneous power density. Now from here we can define different terms like instantaneous Poynting vector, time average Poynting vector. So instantaneous Poynting vector represented by Pzt. T here shows the instantaneous value of that Poynting vector. And how we can write the time average? So taking its integration from 0 to t and divided by its time period t. Someone can also write in this form half and real of E cross H conjugate. Whatever H is given, take its conjugate and multiply with Es. Better to use this one. Suppose if general format of field expression has been given similar to this E and Z, then one can adopt this one, E cross H conjugate. H conjugate means what? You already know in the first lecture of unit 3rd how to take the complex conjugate of any vector. Now what is in our equation 8? This is P equal to E naught, this one, and what is the time average formula? This one. So just if we apply the integration on that, what we will find that when you will apply the integration on the second one, cos 2 omega t minus 2 beta z minus theta n, this term are what? Constant. Only thing is variable here. Omega is what? 2 pi by t. So when you will integrate it from 0 to t, its value will be 0. That's why only this term is there, present there. We have written cos theta n Az. E naught square divided by mod n e to the power minus 2 alpha z cos theta n Az. This is what? Average power. Okay. time average Poynting vector, this one. This is also density, keep in mind, because this is what instantaneous Poynting vector means, instantaneous power density. Now this is what average power density, average power density. Now this, from this power density can be used to calculate the power by taking the surface integral. So total time average can be given by the power average density and taking the surface integral, its surface integral. This is what our instantaneous value, that's by t. And another parameter, it can be a function of x, y or z. What is the unit of Poynting vector? Since power density, therefore watt per square meter. It is time varying in nature, instantaneous value. But average value, see, there is no mention of time since we are taking the average. So it is independent of time. Its unit will be the same, watt per square meter. And time average of Poynting vector, this represents the time average of this one. Now P average is what? This one, P average, capital P, total average power through a surface in watt. Okay. Now see, we have discussed already all the theory associated with this Poynting vector. You also go through the book, and otherwise you try yourself. Whatever the intermediate terms we have skipped, but explain here. Suppose from here we asked to find the average power. So based on this formula we can derive 0 to t, and here we can write P and dt. So use this formula and find average, you are getting this or not. Okay, verify by yourself. Look this problem. In a non-magnetic medium, we have E is equal to 4 sine 2 pi into 10 to the power 7t minus 0.8 ax az. So this is what? This is the initial value. You can say E naught is equal to 4. And coefficient of t, that represent the omega, that is 2 pi into 10 to the power 7. And this is what? Coefficient of x, that is beta, that is 0.8. And wave is propagating in which direction? Plus ax direction, wave propagation. Wave propagation, positive x direction, that is ax. And az is what? Electric field direction. Okay, this is our problem. Now we have non-magnetic material. So we will see the property of non-magnetic material. In the first half of the problem, we are asked to calculate relative permittivity and intrinsic impedance. Then time average power carried by the wave and the total power crossing 100 centimeter square of a given plane, that is 2x plus y equal to 5. So first we will calculate this relative permittivity, and then we have to calculate the intrinsic impedance. So how we can calculate the relative permittivity? We know for the non-magnetic material mu r is equal to 1. Therefore mu is equal to mu naught. And it is lossless, therefore alpha is equal to 0. But this is not free space. Free space is also lossless, but this is what? Non-magnetic material, but it is not given that it is free space. So not free space. And whenever we have no free space, at this situation, some relative value of permittivity will occur, that will be apart from 1. So we take the general value of permittivity, that is epsilon naught into epsilon r. Now suppose if free space is given, at this situation we can write beta is equal to omega by c, where c is the velocity of light. But for other type of medium, we will write beta is equal to omega by mu or u, phase velocity. What is the relation between phase velocity and light of wave? So u is equal to c divided by square root of epsilon r into mu r. This one is the value of mu. Now beta is equal to what? 0.8. Omega is equal to what? 2 pi into 10 to the power 7. So applying this, beta is equal to mu, you can get this expression. Beta is equal to what? Omega divided by u, sorry, phase velocity, and which can be written as omega divided by c. Okay, omega divided by c divided by square root of epsilon r into mu r. So this is what? Omega divided by c, and c is nothing 1 divided by square root of mu naught into epsilon naught, and into epsilon r into mu r. So when this come to the numerator, we can write omega square root of mu naught into mu r, epsilon naught into epsilon r, and this term is what? Mu, this term is what? Epsilon. That's why we have written this relation. Beta is equal to omega square root of mu e. From there, beta is known to us, omega is also known to us, and c, mu naught we can use constant value, you know, and epsilon naught we can also use. Mu r is 1 in our case, so from here we can calculate the value of epsilon r. So any of the equation can be used to find epsilon r, that is 14.59. You cross verify whether we are getting same value or not. Then next is intrinsic impedance. So intrinsic impedance, square root of mu epsilon, or we can say this one, mu is equal to what? Mu naught into mu r divided by epsilon naught into epsilon r, which can be written as square root of mu naught divided by epsilon naught into root under mu r divided by epsilon r. And this is what? This is intrinsic impedance in free space. Therefore 377 or 125. So 377 multiplied by mu r value, in our case it is 1. So 1 divided by square root of epsilon r, and it has been calculated as 14.59. So put the value, you can get the value of intrinsic impedance, that is 98.7 ohm. Okay, first half of the problem A calculated. Now next we have to calculate the time average power carried by the wave. So you know the expression of E. Now from there we can find the time average power. So what is the expression of time average? That should be 1 by T, 0 to T instantaneous value. And what is the instantaneous value? Cross product of these two, or we can write, you can write E cross H, someone can write as E cross E by N, intrinsic impedance. So we can write E square divided by N. You can also convert in magnetic field. How? E can be written as N into H and taking with H. Okay. So this magnitude, when we will multiply, we can write half N H square like this. Okay. So see, in this expression here, E square divided by mod N. So E square is what given in the problem? 4 sine 2 pi, this one. So expression is this. After taking cross sine into sine, we can write sine square omega t minus beta x. These parameters are known to us. E naught is 4, omega is known to us, beta is also known to us. So this is what? Time average. Time average. Okay. Now what is the average of this? So average, when you find the average of this one, you apply the integration P(z)t, we have calculated instantaneous value. So sine squared can be converted into 1 minus cos 2 theta. So 1 minus cos 2 omega t minus 2 beta x. And when you will perform the integration from 0 to t, this term will be 0. So only this first term will be left. Therefore, we have written here E naught squared divided by N. And what is the direction of this P? So direction of this is what? Coefficient of B, or wave propagation, and wave is propagating in x direction. Therefore, Ax direction is there. And numerically, after finding the solution numerically we get as 81 AX milliwatt per square meter. So this is what power density, average power density. Now in the third section of the problem, it is asked to calculate the total power crossing 100 centimeter of plane 2x plus y equal to 5. So what is the formula for this? Average power dot product with ds. Okay, and we have to consider this surface area. So one can write this dot product with surface area with its direction. So surface area is known to us 100 centimeter square, but important thing is that, very important, on this plane you have to find its direction AN. And what is the plane direction? Normal to that plane. So how to find the direction normal to a plane? Important is that one. And after finding that, we can easily calculate by using this formula. Surface area is given, only thing is that AN has to find. Now what is our plane? This is 2x plus y is equal to 5. So see how to find the unit normal to the plane. So 2x plus y is equal to 5. This is our plane. So bring all the term to one side or make the right hand side 0. So we can write 2x plus y minus 5 is equal to 0. Now this one is assumed as a function of x, y and z. So we define one surface f x, y, z, function of x, y and z, that is 2x plus y minus 5. Now take the gradient of this. So gradient is what? You differentiate with respect to x, with respect to y, with respect to z, and put the direction ax, ay and az. This gradient gives the change of that function in a particular direction. This term in the x direction, in the y direction and in the z direction. That's why we have written here the vector direction ax, ay and az. So perform here, when you will differentiate with respect to x, these will be treated as constant. So 2x means 2 only and ax will be present. Now when you will differentiate this with respect to y, so only y is there, 1 is there. Okay, and direction is what? Ay, sorry, not y, ay should be there. Because when you are differentiating with respect to y, 1 will be there. So 1 into ay. And find the magnitude of this. So what will be the magnitude? Del gradient, magnitude of gradient of f. This should be 2 square plus 1 square. 2 square plus 1 square. So it is what? Square root of 5. And the normal can be found as del f divided by its magnitude. So what is del f? It is 2ax plus ay divided by root 5. Okay. Now same thing we have applied here. This term is what? 81ax p average value. Surface area is given as 100 centimeter square. So when you will convert 100 centimeter square to the meter square, you have to divide it by 10 to the power 4. So 100 divided by 10 to the power 4, now it is meter square. So this is what? 0.01 when you will solve this, and multiplied with an that we have calculated here. So after taking the dot product and solving this, we are getting as 724.5 microwatt. So is there any doubt in this problem? Is there any doubt?
Not sir.
Okay, if no doubt, then all of you try this problem by yourself. In free space, we have h equal to this one. Find the total power passing through a square plate of 10 centimeter on plane x plus y equal to 1 and a circular disc of radius 5 centimeter on plane x is equal to 1. Same, using same you can solve this. So this completes our discussion based on Poynting vector. Okay, there we have seen about the different type of power that is associated with it. Any doubt, ask.